What's up, everyone? My name is Tyler. You are watching Mom's Basement MMA, and today I'm speaking with a featherweight prospect from England. He will be fighting very, very soon, Cage Warriors 176 versus Damon Donald. That'll be happening in Scotland. Kallum Parker joins me on the program today. Kallum, what's up, man? Thank you for your time. Good to connect with you. I've been watching you fight for a few years now.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
So obviously, you're a kid from Nottingham, England, but you've also spent some time in San Diego. You trained out of Alliance MMA. I know a few of your teammates, Damon Wilson being one of them. Can you tell me, how did a kid from England end up training in California for a few years?
Yeah, it was me and brother. It was always our dream to train in America, and was like would always like look at California as like a dream place to train. And why the lockdown happened, like COVID-19, was was our plan was to go America before then. So like was working doing groundworks. So like we'd do like tarmacking, and then we found out that like we was gonna go. COVID-19 hit, and so was training in our back garden for 2 years. It was like we just kept waiting. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna end up going to America, and then we waited and waited, and then we seen the opportunity, so we went to Canada first for 2 weeks. The only way we could get into America was to go Canada for 2 weeks. So you're out of England. We trained in Canada, like in the hotel room, like sparring each other and stuff in the hotel room. For me and my brother, we used to like always try and kill each other like in our back garden just to get used to fighting, and then that actually got us good for America as well.
Well, what was that experience like? Because you were at Alliance MMA, Damon Wilson's there, and then there's just a ton of other top fighters that all go there. Like, what was that experience like, being able to train side by side with some of the best fighters in the world?
Yeah, it was really good. It was like learning like different styles, and every day from the wrestling background, like they're better wrestling, like because I've been doing it through school, and like it's different in America, in it like the the English wrestling's like still really good,
Hmm.
but you don't have it in school here. So it was good to train with people who did it through the growing up as well. Yeah, it was a great experience training with Alliance.
What's really crazy about you is you're still relatively like brand new to the sport of MMA, but you're very, very active. Like, you go out there and it seems like every few months, anytime you get an opportunity to go out there and fight, doesn't matter who it is or where it is, your game, you're out there and you're doing that. And I wanted to pick your brain about that because I think that's really unusual for a young guy like you, because I see so many young guys out there trying to like cherry pick and fight a bunch of bums, and you're not that guy. Like, you're out there, you have that resume, you've shown time and time again that you're not afraid to go out there and fight against some of the best fighters, some of the best prospects in the world. What is your philosophy when it comes to matchmaking and taking fights?
Definitely, like taking fights with anyone, you're gonna learn the most, and I do really believe I can beat anyone.
Well, it's wild because like you're starting this like MMA career in a way, and you're like learning on the job, but you're like fighting like the top like guys in Europe and the US, and it's just like wild to me to hear that
Yeah, yeah,
you're like
yeah.
right in the deep end, man. Like, no real learning, like not a like you're figuring all this stuff out on the fly, and that's just kind of wild.
Yeah, it's like maybe I could have got away with it against like lesser of opponents,
Right.
because I fought like good opponents, and like yeah, you got to respect them, like in the sense of like you got to be 100% to beat them, like you got to be perfect, like 'cause they're good guys to beat, and you can't like be yeah, you got to be your best self to beat good guys. So I'm glad I kind of fought them, because if I did made the mistake and I beat someone lesser of an opponent, and then I've been like I got away with it. Like some people think that, don't they? Like maybe I
Right.
could have thought that. Like I got away with it. So like some people just do what they can get away with, and I think that's what I did starting off on my career. I was like I got away with it. I got a good performance in, and then like, but you don't really know your best self when you. It's like a weird learning curve. Like
Like, I have heard crazy shit about you. You've heard it all, right? You've heard a lot of praise, and then you've also heard the other end of it, a ton of criticism. That goes with being a prize fighter. And do you kind of feel like through the highs and lows, right? Like everyone's talking about you. Everyone saw the Mexico fight. Everyone was going crazy. Oh, this kid from England, he's so good. And then you
Yeah,
go
yeah,
on you go on a bit of a skid, right? And then people
yeah,
that were so quick to praise you are quick to be like, "Oh, this guy's, he ain't gonna really amount to anything. He's not as good as we thought he was. Whatever, he probably won't amount to much." Like, do you feel right that
yeah,
like people have like underestimated you because of just what's been going on the past like year or so, and people have maybe forgot just kind of like how talented you are and what you really can bring to the table?
yeah, yeah. I feel like it was like I see the dark side of being a fighter, like being on the losing side. It's lonely. It's yeah. It's you don't get nothing from it. It's just a depressing time, and I knew the only way to get out of it was to learn from my past mistakes and just make sure I'm perfect going in there. Because if you're losing in the fight game, you just classed as a journeyman, and it's not good. For myself fighting, I know who I am as a fighter, and I know, and people just see the videos of my fights and think like obviously like they just don't see what you see. So
Mhm.
like they can carry on seeing what they can see, but I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing, and they'll see in the future.
Cage Warriors 175, that was your last performance. It was against Jack Claffey. And this was a guy that had beat Saris Yarvi. That's like a big guy that they were trying to like push for a while. And then he kind of like spoiled the show, right? And got one over on him. And then I kind of felt like that narrative was kind of changing. Like, oh, this Jack guy, he might be like that next thing. Let's bring Parker in to see what he can do. And well, I think you kind of ruined some plans, man. Like you went out there
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it was kind of like a vintage performance. Like I saw a lot of things that I remember watching in your very first fight in Mexico. I was like, oh wow, like he like the pressure's there, the striking's there, like he's too fast, he's too strong for this guy. Jack isn't making the reads like that, like he's backing off and he's pinning himself against the cage against this kid. Like that's not good. This kid's gonna knock him out. And that's basically what ended up happening. I was able to like make those reads within the first like 10-15 seconds of your fight. I was curious, like, what was your mindset going into that fight against Jack? And can you talk to me just what do you remember about that performance?
my mindset going into that fight was I knew going in there I left nothing unturned. I knew my diet was perfect. I knew I was going to go in there normal. I knew that I did everything right to where I peaked as well. I rested right. It's another thing I learned through my career as well. Is you gotta like from the 2 or 3 week mark from camp, if you're training really hard, you need to you need to time your training and make sure that you're recovered for the night and you're at your very best when you fight. So I've got that right as well. So I did everything. I left nothing unturned, and I knew that getting my hands wrapped before the fight, I was like, I've left nothing unturned. I'm gonna be at my very best. And when I was in there, I felt at my very best. So yeah, he definitely fought the best version of me, and that's why yeah, it wasn't a good night for him. But
Callum, one of the things
yeah,
that I remember from that fight from you specifically, like this is what I really liked from you. Like you were hitting him at all levels and like your jab, like right to his body, like you were hitting that every single time. Was there something that you saw in him where you knew that the torso, that the body shots were going to be there? Because that was the key to the fight.
yeah, yeah. We studied him before, and yeah, me and my brother studied him, and we seen he likes to move with his arm up to defend the overhand rights. So I knew, like, and I was in training doing that as well. I was hitting the body and the head, and just making sure that the body shot looks like the head shot for the fight. So I was drilling that loads, and then yeah, it worked in the fight.
It was a fantastic performance. Now you'll be going up against an undefeated guy, Damon Donald. And, I don't know a whole lot about Donald, but I've seen him perform a few different times. And I am aware that in the past that, he struggled a bit off the ground. He's been choked out a few times. I know with you, I think of boxing, I think of striking, but I know you're a mixed martial
Yeah,
artist. I know you have other things up your sleeves that you may not necessarily want to talk about, so I won't. But just give me your thoughts on this guy. What's your opinion on Donald? What do you think about him as a fighter, and where do you believe you have the advantage over this dude?
Yeah, I think he's a good fighter. Like I just think I had the advantage of he don't like to be pressured, and that's my style. So I don't think he has a good time going backwards. It is good going forwards. I've seen a lot of his past footage. He's good at going forward. He's comfortable pressuring guys, but a lot of guys don't like to pressure him. He would like brawl them for a bit, and then they would end up going on the back foot. So he's in for a different fight against me. So yeah, I can't really look at his tape too much because
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be like a completely different fight he's ever had. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just going to fight the way I fight and just yeah.
You are a fantastic striker. I think of you again. I think of boxing right away. That's the first thing I think about. And for guys like
Oh,
you,
yeah,
like
good.
you hit hard. Like people don't want to like get those shots against you. Like you hit hard. You're very accurate. You're very lethal with the boxing. And most people, they're gonna get a couple of those shots and they'll be like, "I'm taking this dude down. I am not I'm not standing. I'm not striking with this dude." How come that's not
Yeah,
going to work against somebody like you? How come you are the type of fighter that cannot be grapple fucked?
yeah. 'Cause I've done grappling for like all my life, like just as much as I've done stand up, and for yeah, I do believe my grappling is as good as my stand up. I haven't shown it like I could have. Like yeah, I've been into fights weaker where my grappling wasn't really shown. Like because it's like striking. I see grappling. It's whoever's faster to the technique, and if you haven't got the energy, you're not going to be faster to the technique. So like yeah, I do hope I face grapplers and even pure grapplers like you just want to wrestle me. I do hope like I do face them in the future so I can show my level because I never get out grappled in the gym and I grapple a lot of high level jiu-jitsu guys, a lot of wrestlers, and I know my level. So yeah, I'm looking forward to these wrestlers trying to take me down.
Well, Cage Warriors 176, that'll be happening very, very soon, 7 September. I know that we got a ways yet between now and fight night, but I wanted to give you kind of more of an opportunity, Callum, to just kind of like let the world know, like, what is it that you're all about and what can people expect to see from you kind of moving forward? People, you shocked a lot of people out there. A lot of people wrote you off in the last fight. You flipped the script on them, you got the win. And a lot of people might be thinking the same thing, like, "Oh, it was a fluke, and whatever. This Donald
Yeah,
kid's
yeah,
the real deal." I want you to like tell me or tell the audience out there, like, why is it unwise to write you off, and what can
yeah.
people expect from you for the rest of this year and going on to 2025?
I feel like yeah, writing me off is like yeah, it's the wrong thing, and I do believe I'm getting a knockout every fight. I'm taking the Cage Warriors belt, and then I'm going to the UFC and knocking everyone out there and getting the belt in the UFC, and that's what I believe, and that's what I know will happen as well. So yeah, that's my future.
Well, we're going to keep it short and sweet and leave it at that. I did want to ask you kind of a fun question though before I let you go. Who is your favorite boxer of all time?
Sugar Ray Robinson,
Why? Why him?
because in lockdown, we I seen the footage. I was like, who's this guy? I was like, what? Like he looks like the slickest fight I've ever seen. And then I watched more tape on him. They always used to be Mike Tyson, but and like Muhammad Ali, all the like well-known names in the world, and Sugar Ray Robinson's not really, he's not out there like he should be. And I seen
Hmm.
some footage of him. I was like, wow, like that's the greatest fight I've ever seen. I want to be like him. And I followed his routines in lockdown. I followed his training. Like I tried to follow his training routine, and I ended up being better because of it. And it is definitely my biggest inspiration, and it is one of the reasons why I want to be a fighter as well and a champion.
Is there a world, Callum, in which you would go into like actual like boxing? Is that something that you've ever thought about in the past?
Yeah, like when I was 18, I thought I'd I'd be a boxer, but then I always do jiu-jitsu as well. So I was like always in love with the ground game too. So I was like, I may as well just be a boxer in MMA.
Hey, well, it worked out
So
for Clay
yeah,
Collard pretty good.
yeah.
Well, Callum, I really appreciate your time this afternoon. I'm really looking forward to watching you compete next month. If there's anyone that you would like to thank or anyone that you would like to, any sponsors that you would need to talk about before I let you go, let's do it.
Yeah, I ain't got much sponsors, so anyone that wants to sponsor me, it'd be nice. So yeah, just tune in for my fight September 7th, and it's gonna be my best self, and the best version of me. Yeah, and I hope everyone enjoys it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you tune in Cage Warriors 176. That'll be happening on 7 September. Callum, I appreciate your time. I look forward to having you back on the program very soon, sir.
Yeah, you too, mate. Thank you.